Therese Gopaul-Robinson, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward
It,
to this.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from South Florida. I'm
Yeah,
south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about pushing through fear to create the future that you want. The
yeah,
reality is we're all dealing with that, right? Whether it's imposter syndrome or just the fears and anxieties, the natural things that we're all facing in day-to-day life.
yeah.
The world is a complex, ever-changing, kind of scary, fearful place. Adulting is hard. And whether we're
Yes.
talking about personal life or we're talking about workplace, leadership challenges, or whatever the case may be, I think we all wake up facing challenges and facing various types of fears. And the question isn't whether or not we're going to have fear. The question is how we're going to respond to the fear, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. And as we get started, I wanted to share Therese's bio with everybody. Therese Gopaul-Robinson is a leadership consultant and dynamic keynote speaker with more than 20 years of experience in enhancing healthcare organizational cultures. She is known for inspiring healthcare leaders and teams to move beyond the unique challenges of their industry and overcome limiting beliefs to level up their skills and embrace new opportunities to excel. Therese specializes in helping credentialing and compliance teams improve outcomes through streamlined internal processes, create clear production and quality goals, and implementing training programs. She also partners with leaders for development opportunities and mitigate crises, resulting in stronger, more productive teams. I could say a whole lot more about what you do and your background and all the
Yeah.
great things you've accomplished, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in?
The biggest thing I would say is, in the last year or so, I found that there's this great need to continue to develop confidence in leaders. So it goes beyond the basics of either the department or what you're responsible for, the team that you're responsible for. I found this really just incredible need for that. And so in the last year or so, I still work with healthcare organizations, but I've really hyper focused on developing confidence amongst the leadership team and the team members that they lead as well.
Yeah, well, awesome. And I
Yeah.
think everyone needs that competence. Everyone needs to fine tune. So even if you have a high level of competence and ability, everyone needs that fine tuning, and everyone needs continual attention to it. And the reality is most people don't have high level of competency there either, because most people find themselves kind of thrust into those leadership roles
Yes.
because of you know high performance at lower levels, and then you get promoted, and then you find yourself in leadership positions, not because you're a good leader, but because you're good at whatever functional thing that you did before,
Yeah.
and now you are trying to figure out a whole new role, a whole new kind of leadership skill, right?
Right.
And so leadership is a different thing, and that comes with it a whole different set of imposter syndrome and fear and all that stuff that you have to navigate. And I know that's really hard. I know from experience that's really hard.
Yeah.
And working with leaders, I know that that's something that keeps people up at night. I think most people wake up in the morning, they want to do the best they can. They don't, most people don't wake up thinking, how am I going to exploit my people today? How am I going to take advantage of my people? Yet, so many people don't have the skill set, you
That's
know, and so they kind of inadvertently fall into the patterns or the traps of like they end up doing the things that they've seen modeled for them before that end up being unhealthy, or just by default they end up doing things that probably they shouldn't do, right?
right. Exactly. So you just hit a bunch of things that I want to highlight. So the first thing, and this is what I've seen, and I used to think it was just healthcare, but really I'm seeing it across all industries. And it is the first point that you made, which is when an individual contributor is great at something. So you're a recruiter or you're a salesperson and you are excelling, you are a rock star in that space. What I see happening a lot is exactly what you said. Wow, John, you are an incredible recruiter. So how about we do this? Let's make you the director of recruiting so that
Yeah.
you can create little mini Johns, and then we can have this rock star team of recruiters. And a couple of things are missing there. The first thing is I often see where we are promoting rock stars into leadership roles, assuming that that's just the next step in the career path, right? So there's this assumption made that if Jon's doing really great, we want to keep him, we want to keep him engaged, so let's promote him into this leadership role. So that's the first thing that I see, and I call it a mistake for a few reasons. So if you have a rock star individual contributor and you're thinking, yeah, what can we do here? Let's start with asking Jon first. Jon,
Hmm.
hey,
Novel idea, right?
crazy. But do you want leadership? You're doing so great. There's an opportunity here. Do you want leadership? And if Jon says yes, then the next question is why? Why do you want leadership? And let's dive deep into the motivating, like just what's motivating Jon to say yes. So that's the first thing. The second thing is if Jon says, no, I really want to do this. I think this is a great opportunity to lead others and just kind of really figure out how I can help this organization grow, then great. But then the next thing we have to do is we have to, number one, recognize that the skill set that made Jon a dynamic rockstar recruiter may not be the same skill set that will make that we need him to have as a leader. Different skills, right? Because
Yeah.
certain individual contributor roles are very me focused, right? My numbers, my candidates, my clients, me. So it takes some time to shift over into leadership. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is we got to develop Jon. We have to recognize that, yes, he has kind of some of the things that we like, and we think that there's a lot of opportunity here, but we have to pour into Jon, develop those soft skills, and really position him in a way that can make him successful and really put him, set him up for success. So that's the first thing I see happening a lot. We promote people who are great at one thing, assuming that they'll just make everybody great at that one thing, but not recognizing that, hey, there's other ways to make Jon great outside of just putting him as a leader. Maybe he should be an internal consultant. Jon, we want to put together a training program to create a bunch of mini Jons. We'd love for you to partner with us on that. Jon might jump at that opportunity because it keeps him in the rock star position, keeps him thinking about, me, my clients, my candidates, but now he's teaching others the day-to-day things, the activity that he's doing that gives him the results that he has. So that's the
Can
first
I
thing. Yeah,
can I
go for
add
it.
to that?
Yeah, go for it.
There's also a couple potential fallacies with that
Yes.
mindset, right? One, the fallacy that just replicating and creating a couple other mini Johns
Yeah.
is going to work,
Yeah.
because I mean that may work, but everyone's different, right? And so
Everyone's
just,
different.
let's say I've cracked the code and I've become like this amazing recruiter or whatever. Maybe, but it's also, I'm an individual and I have my own unique strengths and I have my own personality and like and it's usually a fallacy to think that you can just like replicate me and
That's
put
right.
like my stuff into another person and have the same outcomes.
Yes.
And so, but that's what usually people think. And then all of a sudden they try to replicate it and it doesn't happen and it doesn't
Right.
have the same outcomes. And so you got to be careful of that. The other thing is a lot of the reasons, I like that you said you should ask the person whether or not they want the promotion, and then you should ask them why. And a
Yeah.
lot of the times when you ask the why question, they say, well, it's because if I want to
Yeah.
move up in my career, the only opportunity is because, I have to take this promotion. If I want to make more money, I have to take this promotion. And that's not a good enough reason. Like
No.
we should have alternative pathways for people to be able to succeed in their career, to make more money, and to progress. And if the only way to progress is for you to take on a new type of leadership role that is an entirely different skill set,
Right.
we're just going to set up people for failure, and we're going to have the same dynamic happen over and over and over again.
That's right.
Um, and so one term for this is the Peter principle. Some people call it the Michael Scott phenomenon from The Office, right?
Yeah.
You get people that
Yeah.
get promoted into their level of incompetence, that eventually someone gets promoted to the point where they just cannot function, and then you
Yep.
end up having a whole organization full of leaders who can't do their job.
Yeah.
And that happens so often because people want to progress in their career. They want to make more money. They want to be able to achieve, and they've achieved. They've been really good up to a
Yep.
point, and now we promote them to a point where they can't achieve anymore. And that's our fault as organizations, right?
100%, 100%. And then what will happen too, John, is there's a really good chance that we will lose that person because, to your point, they want to be successful, they want to achieve, they want to exceed goals. And so if you do not set them up for success, you will end up losing that person one way or the other, right? Whether it's voluntarily or otherwise, you will lose that person. And how unfortunate that is, because that person was a huge contributor to the organization, and now we lose that person. We lose all of that knowledge, we lose those relationships, we lose, it's just this just terrible domino effect. So I wanted to highlight that first point that you made, because I see that on replay so much, that we just continue to just promote people that may not be ready for leadership or may not want it, and then we're not doing enough to create an environment for them to be successful, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so in some ways, you got to be more creative, right?
Yeah,
As organizations, what are alternative pathways towards career success
absolutely.
outside the traditional hierarchical pyramid structure of like
Absolutely.
climbing the career ladder?
Yep.
That's historically what it's meant to have career success. But
Yeah,
that's one way. There should be and can be other ways. So
absolutely.
let's be creative, right?
Be creative. And, and now, so as you know, we're in this kind of like AI revolution. And so there's a lot of fear around that.
Yeah.
So here's an incredible opportunity to take someone who maybe that's the mindset, right? They love digging into things. They love becoming the expert. They love, the high fives. They love all those things. I facilitate some leadership roundtables, and one of the members had this brilliant idea of taking one of their rockstar recruiters. She still runs a desk sort of as a recruiter. So she's still, making commissions and stuff, but they put her in charge of, fine tuning and implementing some additional resources within their CRM and their ATS system. And so that was like, I thought that was so brilliant, because now she's kind of, she's the expert, she's got that background, but now she's really working within that system and using AI and technology to make it more streamlined, seamless, and more efficient for not just her as a recruiter, but all of the recruiters. And it was such a brilliant move. And it's really making this organization really kind of be a step ahead of their competition, because they recognize this is where we are, it's not going away, we're not the experts, but here's somebody who has proven over and over again that they love a challenge, they are somewhat sort of kind of tech savvy, but they will take this and just create this dynamic, operation within it. And so there's a lot of opportunity for these folks. And to your point, it doesn't have to be that traditional, okay, you're a team lead, okay, now you're a supervisor, then a manager, and so on. There are other opportunities to really take advantage of what they're great at and what they love, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
spend more time with the people we work with than our own families half the time, right? So wouldn't that be great if we actually loved what we did? I know that's a crazy thought, but I think it can happen if we are just, to your point, a little creative, and and kind of thinking outside the lines. So it's okay to color outside the lines. Like, let's just get crazy here and just do some crazy things and see what happens.
Yeah. And I think, coming back to the overarching kind of topic for today, pushing
Yeah,
through fear. I think
yeah,
part of the reason we have like career fear is because, we have all these pressures. We have all these tensions in life, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, I'm progressing in my career, but I also have a family, and maybe I have a mortgage, or I have kids growing up and needing to go to college, and
yeah,
I have these financial pressures. And so I'm good at my job, but I also know that, man, I need to be making some more money. And so
yeah,
maybe I need to take that promotion, but I'm good at what I do. I don't really want to take on supervisory responsibilities or management responsibilities, but
yeah. But I
I need
kind
that promotion, you know? And
of,
in fact, I have a good friend who is just in that dilemma, early 30s, a growing family, growing financial responsibilities, growing pressure from the family and really good in their job. And now they feel like they're trapped, like they just have to like go into management in their organization. And they kind of hate it.
Yep.
And now they feel trapped. Now they feel like this daily dread, this kind of and just kind of life ick and fear, that in part doesn't, everyone has to make those life choices, but in part, do we like some of those are self-constrained, because we can't think outside the box a little bit, both from an organizational perspective, an individual perspective, a societal perspective, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's unfortunate because again, exactly what you just said. I think we're very kind of tunnel vision still, although we've evolved a lot and we recognize that everybody has something to contribute and bring to the table. We're still very kind of tunnel vision when it comes to career pathing. We're still kind of in this very traditional, like I said, you go here, then you go here, then you go there, then you go there, and not realizing that, okay, again, if we took that person, your friend, and took the things that they're really great at, what are some things that they really love, and look within the organization, almost like a map to see, okay, where else can we plug this person in to take advantage of not only the skills they have today, but their desire and
Yeah.
want to learn this other thing? Where is that? Where are the gaps? Where can this person go without the title or whatever? And maybe we do a different comp structure. I know it's crazy, but we don't have to stick to this traditional, okay, you make this an hour, and then when you get there you make $3 more, and you get, maybe we do a different compensation structure for that person, where, all right, maybe you're not front lines with clients and bringing sales in or whatever, but maybe you're, again, with that other person I talked about, maybe you're in charge of the system that makes it easier for candidate matching, makes it more seamless for us to perform for our clients. Maybe the comp structure is around, okay, if we pull in X number of clients and Y number of candidates and make, A number of matches, you get X. I don't know. There's just a lot of opportunity there. And, money definitely is important, right? We know that because we need that to survive. However, when we look at turnover, retention, engagement, culture,
Yeah.
that's not the number one motivator. It really
Yeah.
is not, right? It is, do I feel valued? Am I challenged? Do I have the resources that I need to be successful? Right? Do I feel, that my leadership team is committed to me just as I'm committed to them? Money definitely is a factor, but it's not something that's going to hold on to someone long term. It's just not. And that's not a Therese statement. That's research. It's backed by a ton of research that shows
Yeah.
that. So we see it, we know it's out there, but yet still we're still very much in this traditional, okay, John, now you're the team lead, and so on. So I think this, now more than ever, we have this unique opportunity. There's a lot of fear right now, but I think within this, there's a huge amount of opportunity for us to really look at different ways to develop people within the organization. And so maybe they're not leaders by title, but maybe they're leaders by mindset. And so what can we do to develop that leadership mindset amongst our team?
Yeah, I love that. Because I do think we all can and should be leaders by
Absolutely.
mindset. We all can and should be leaders by influence
Yes.
within our sphere, right?
Yes.
Because some people do have titles, some people do have position power, some people do have hierarchical power, right?
Yep.
Um, but most people in an organization don't. They don't have the title, but they
Yep.
do have opportunity to influence, and they do have opportunity
A lot.
to lead a project or whatever, right? and
Yep.
and so every single person within an organization should have a leadership mindset and should foster that leadership mindset and should foster the mindset of how do I grow into the career and the path that will get me to the future that I want for myself. um, Recognizing that yes, we all have there's limitations in front of all of us. Like we all have constraints and we all have obstacles and unfortunately we live in a world where some people have more obstacles than others. Some people have privilege and their obstacles are fewer, or in some cases they have a red carpet thrown out in front of them while other people have brick walls put out in front of
Yeah.
them. That's unfortunately the reality. But we do also, if we can foster a growth mindset, foster a leadership mindset, we can start to, at least take control over what we can control
Right.
and start to create, manifest and create the future that we want for ourselves, at least within, those things that we do have control over. And for all of the challenges that we do face, and we do face many, everyone does, um, you know, I am grateful for, the world that we live in that does provide at least more opportunity today than it provided 50 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But with all that said, we still have to recognize that with all that opportunity that we have, we've got to set our team up for success.
Yeah.
Last year, I'm sure you're just like me. You read a lot of peer review articles and research and stuff. And last year, it was something like 78% of leaders in Fortune 500 companies are dealing with low confidence.
Yeah.
So just stop for a second and think about that. Most, that's kind
Yeah.
of, I don't even know what to say, but when you think about that and you think about the domino effect of that,
4 out of 5. Yeah.
yeah, if you think of the domino effect of that, right? It's not, and that's one thing that I try to really, be very clear about is we have to move away from this thought that confidence and, like you mentioned earlier, imposter syndrome is just a self problem, meaning it's Therese's problem. She'll figure it out. It's not Therese's problem anymore. It's everybody's problem because when you walk into that workplace and you're struggling with low confidence, if you're one of those 78%, well, it's impacting everything. It's impacting your ability to be innovative. It's impacting your ability to have difficult conversations. It's going to impact the bottom line of the organization, turnover. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so if we think about it from that perspective, opportunities are there and that's great, but we still got to set these people up for success. And the number one kind of contributor to low confidence is the fact that we're afraid that we don't know whatever that thing is. So if I move
Yeah.
into leadership, and yes, I'm great as a whatever I was doing before, if no one has sat down and taught me or put me through some sort of training and development to teach me how to talk to an underperformer, that's incredibly intimidating. That's incredibly intimidating. But unfortunately, I see that over and over and over, and that's across all industries in so many organizations. So again, I go back to this is a unique opportunity for us. There's a lot of fear right now, but at the same time, the organizations that are going to win are the ones that recognize that this is the time to be creative, color outside of the lines, look and figure out how you can really help your team members grow. And growth does not necessarily mean title.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has just been such a fun, interesting conversation. I note the time. I'm going to have to let you go here in a minute. I know you have a busy day ahead, but before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us a final word for today.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, and it's just my full name. I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes, but Therese Gopaul-Robinson, it's a long one. And then you can also join me on my website as well, and that is Therese, TheresegR.com. So you can join me there. I'd love to connect with your listeners for sure. And then as far as my final word, here's my final word. My thought is that I truly believe that everything you need to be successful, wherever you are right now, you already possess. I really do believe that whatever you need to be successful, you already possess. You first have to just start to believe that, be a little intentional with the goals and things that you're trying to set within your career. And then even when you're not sure, hey, I've never done this, I've never done that, look around you. There's evidence all around you that you have taken on challenges before. You've gone into situations that you didn't know before and you've succeeded. So you have everything within you right now to be successful. So that's my final word. And it's something that I tell myself on a daily basis because, as you mentioned in the beginning, we all struggle with confidence at times and feeling like an imposter. And so for me, that's what I tell myself every day is, hey, you already have what you need to be successful.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Therese can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thank you so